Look like baby boy wanna be a Nino. Sad. Just sad. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Better get the cold slow, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Looks like the baby boy wants to be a Nino. Rapper and actor Tyrese caused a firestorm of controversy on Instagram when he made a statement saying that he wishes he were born Latino after seeing a Latino family give the patriarch and the father of that family his dream truck after putting in all of the work and sacrifice to buy it for him. And after seeing this family reward this father with his dream truck, Tyrese decided to take to Instagram to go out and praise this Latino family, talking about how kids buy the dad his dream truck, and he says that he wishes he were born Latino. And according to him, he says the Latino community is grounded in family, loyal entrepreneurs, businessmen, and women who literally represent the dream, grind, hustle, doing whatever it takes to stick together. And if us black culture were more grounded in these integral, magical nuances of us, we would be dominant. And he also talks about how the Jewish community sticks together eating dinner Friday every day, and talks about the Muslim community. And as he's talking about these different communities and wishing to be born Latino, he throws the entire black community under the bus. Now, Tyrese's behavior is a textbook example of the spellbound behavior I talk about in my novel, Spellbound. And this spellbound black actor and rapper basically is throwing the black race under the bus because he wants to fit into the black box that's acceptable to white people. And in order for him to fit into that black box that's acceptable to white people in Hollywood, he wants to walk away from his blackness by saying he wishes he were born Latino. And when he goes out here and says that he wishes he were born Latino, it's a clear case of self-hatred from Tyrese. Now, Tyrese wants to sit here and talk about how the black family isn't grounded in these integral, magical nuances as related to family, but he really doesn't know the history of the American black family. Now, as someone who knows the history of the American black family, I know that the black family was grounded in all of those values that he brags about with the Latino community, about family, about being loyal, and having entrepreneurs and businessmen and women that represent the dream. There have been black families that did this for over 100 years, and they did this even in the face of all of the adversity that they ran in from the system of white supremacy, because ever since black people came off a slave ship, we have been at war with the system of white supremacy, and the white supremacist system has did everything in its power to keep black people at the bottom of the world so that they can have their ideal that black people are inferior and black people are less intelligent and less capable and not even capable of having family, basically projecting their own dysfunction onto black people. But black people have persevered in the face of adversity, and we have persevered in the face of adversity to go out here and build strong families. And we built strong families all throughout slavery. We built strong families even after we were freed from slavery. We had strong families that were out here even in the face of racism, where we were denied jobs in the Jim Crow South and in discrimination in the North. And we had strong families and entrepreneurs that built black-owned businesses in all across the country. And we had lots of loyal families that came together that went out here and built neighborhoods like Sugar Hill. But Tyrese don't do no research on his history, and he wants to sit there and say, oh, we're not grounded in these integral magical nuances. Well, we were so grounded in these integral magical nuances that he wants to quote-unquote talk about, that we built strong communities like Sugar Hill off the labor of Pullman porters and janitors, the only jobs that many black people could get. And we built strong black businesses all throughout this country, and we had strong black families all throughout this country, to the point where there were more black marriages in America than there were white or non-black marriages for over 2 decades in the 1940s and 1950s, I believe, and even in the 60s. We had more marriages in black families, and we had black families that were filled with legitimate children continuing to carry on their legacies. But Tyrese wants to say, oh, black culture wasn't grounded in these integral magical nuances. But what he doesn't understand is that the system of white supremacy worked to undermine black families ever since, again, the days of slavery, and further escalated their campaign to wage war on black families after they started seeing that black families were starting to outnumber white families and non-black families. And this is what they did as we started to push into the civil rights movement. And as we pushed into the civil rights movement, this is where they started to bring agents in to divide the black man and the black woman. And as they divided the black man and the black woman, what they did was send in these white feminists, and the white feminists came in and told the black woman that she was being oppressed by the black man, even though the black man had no economic or political power in heavy levels to create policy to oppress her. And in many cases, black women were being equally oppressed during the times of the of when black people were free during the Reconstruction, with laws like the Black Codes, which said that black women had to work just like black men, and many black women had to work at the side of a black man because many black men were not being paid enough to be able to maintain their own homes. But you had a lot of black women who bought into the idea from the feminists of the baby boomer generation, talking about how this black man was oppressing them, even though that black man never had any sort of power to oppress them at all. And as those black women joined the feminist movement, hoping to create a covert contract to get white acceptance and white approval, what happened with many of those black women is they wound up buying into the narratives of white feminism and thought, oh, they could go out here and be independent and need no man, and go up higher on the hierarchy of white supremacy. And as they got their jobs, and some got on the welfare state as single mothers, they bought into the idea that black people don't work hard enough, when in actuality black people worked hard to build this nation. One, they worked hard to maintain their families in the face of the adversity of white supremacy, and black people went out here and built strong families until those families basically were sabotaged by the two-pronged assault of integration and black women joining the feminist movement. And when that happened, the entire black family had a wedge driven into it. And as that wedge was driven into it, what happened was the black woman did not want to trust the black man and did not want to work with the black man that God gave her. She did not want to submit to his authority or serve him or look for his protection. No, what she wanted to do was gain the acceptance of the white supremacist. And this is stuff that Tyrese don't know about, but I have written about in books like Spellbound and Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And this is an effort to sabotage the black family because they don't want to see black families grow and rise. And sadly, because Tyrese has grown up in a dysfunctional, possible single mother household, he does not know about how great black families are and how black families tried to stick against the odds until the white supremacists took advantage of the hypergamous nature of the black woman. And when he took advantage of the hypergamous nature of the black woman and her need for economic security, this is basically what drove a wedge between the black man and the black woman and led to many black women winding up raising dysfunctional sons like Tyrese. And these dysfunctional sons are out here thinking, oh, the black family isn't strong, and if it were more grounded in other magical bullshit like he's talking about, they would be dominant. But the whole thing is, it's hard for a black family to go out here these days because you have a black woman whose eyes are basically looking back like Lot's wife. And like Lot's wife, they would rather be a pillar of salt in the system of white supremacy than season a black man and work with a black man. Instead, you've got Tyrese thinking that a Hispanic or a Middle Eastern man or a man of a certain religion is better than a black man, which basically shows how he's been brainwashed by the system of white supremacy. And his whole statement basically shows how completely spellbound he is by the system of white supremacy, because he's sitting here saying he wishes he were born Latino, because he thinks Latinos are of a better way of life because they have been pushed to a higher level in the system of white supremacy. In the whole hierarchy of things, he's thinking that because the Latino is getting stuff from his family, but that was all stuff gotten off the backs of black people, because many of the Latinos got their everything because the white supremacist wants to put them in an artificial position above black people. And sadly, because Tyrese sees this Hispanic man getting attention from his family, he wishes that he were born Latino instead of taking pride in being black, because that's one of the sad parts of many black folks like Tyrese. They are so spellbound and so caught up in seeking white validation that they want to deny their blackness. They want to deny everything that is black. And that's what's really sad about this. He sees family as Latino doing better than black, and not understanding that the entire culture is anti-black and does not want you to see images of black families or black people that are positive, like I publish on the SJS Direct imprint, because I've seen positive images of black families. That's why I can write about those positive images. I have seen functional, positive black people, and that's what something I take pride in, because I love being black. I take pride in being black, and I am happy to have been born black. I am not ashamed to be black. But you've got guys like Tyrese who want to denounce their blackness because they want to get white acceptance. And that's what's really embarrassing about this Hollywood star. This Hollywood star, with all of his power and influence, wants to go out and put another race above his. And that's what makes him an embarrassment to the black race, because you're sitting there saying you wish you were born Latino. Well, I wouldn't want to be born anything but what God made me, and God made me black, and he knew what he was doing when he made me black. So I am not ashamed of my blackness the way Tyrese is. And when I see black families out here, I know that there are functional black families. I know that there are healthy black people. I write about those kind of stories on my SJS Direct imprint, and maybe Tyrese needs to go read some of those stories to see images of black fathers, because I've written 3-4 books with black fathers. I've written I've written books like A Recipe for Success, which had a successful 2-parent household with a black-owned business. I've written books like The Thetas, which had a black father who was a millionaire. I've written stories like Eternal Night, which featured a black family that was in the church. And I've also done mixed families like I did in Spellbound. And I've also done other books like John Hayes' 1987, which shows you a black father in action. I show you black life in a rich, diverse picture, but sadly, Tyrese basically is looking to fit himself into that box to say, oh, I wish I was born Latino, and it basically makes me shake my head, but it makes me understand the kind of black person they want in Hollywood. They basically only want a certain kind of black person in Hollywood, a black person who will basically compromise their integrity, compromise their dignity, and even compromise their own black identity. And if that's what Hollywood is, it makes me thank God I never got a chance to be a part of the entertainment industry like I dreamed of when I was a teenager and a little boy. Because at one time I did want to be in a place like Tyrese, but the more I learn about these blacks in Hollywood, I see them as sad, pathetic shells of individuals, because only a sad, pathetic shell of a man is going to deny his blackness and say, oh, family comes from other people, and those families are doing better, not understanding all of those families collude with the system of white supremacy to keep a black family from rising and being the dominant force that we are supposed to be. And because that's what they want to do with this type of propaganda, talk about our shortcomings when you don't see the dysfunction of many of those families like he wants to talk about, like in the Latino community. I've lived in communities with Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and Cubans, and all sorts of people, and they all have single mothers in their communities, but he wants to talk about family when I have grown up in the South Bronx and seen Hispanics grow up with a baby mama and seen them basically, there's a lot of guys out here being baby daddies and stuff like that. So he wants to talk about, oh, they bought this one father or something. Well, there's a lot of deadbeat guys in that community as well, but they demonize the black man as a deadbeat because it fits their narrative and fits their story that white supremacy wants to tell about black people. And what's sad is we've got this bootleg parroting these narratives instead of looking to elevate our people. And instead of elevating our people, what he wants to do is go out here and make the same statements that white supremacists do, saying, oh, black people are at the bottom, we don't know what to do. Again, these are the same types of statements that white supremacists make, and it's a shame you've got a black celebrity making the same statements as a white supremacist, instead of speaking well of our best brothers and sisters out here who are doing what they need to do. Not even talking about the history of our brothers and sisters the way I have done in this video, because I have seen how our brothers and sisters have strong families. And again, I write about it all the time, but Tyrese doesn't seem to know those stories because he's still a baby boy. And sadly, this baby boy hasn't grown up, because instead of talking about why the baby boy was stuck in that state because of all of the racism he ran into and all of the racism that his parents ran into due to the system of white supremacy sabotaging the black family, he would rather be a Nino and never grow up. No, he's just going to grow old, and sadly Tyrese would rather stay a baby boy instead of standing up like a black man for black people. Now, if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction that I mentioned here in this video that shows you positive images of black families, like A Recipe for Success, The Thetas, books like John Haynes' 1987, and even see a mixed black family with Spellbound, you can and learn about the whole mindset of being spellbound like Tyrese. You can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, Walmart, and Target. And if you want to see me be able to make more videos taking more celebrities to the barbecue, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, Illuminati on Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.